courageous black women during the Civil War, and we have to talk about some of the courageous black women during the Civil War period. Alana McLaughlin. And Alana has already given us some information in reference to her background, her education, and some additional information. And now she would like to give us additional information about African American and black women during the Civil War. Let's talk about that, Alana.
Well, today I would like to discuss the woman I would like to discuss is Harriet Tubman. I know you may think she just did the slaves, you know, she did her work, did her slavery, got freed. No, she did more than that. And here is what that courageous woman did. Tubman returned to the South early in the war to assist liberated slaves in Port Royal, South Carolina. By 1863, serving as a scout for the Union, she would wear disguises and lead local blacks in dangerous missions behind enemy lines to gather information on rebel troop location, movements, and strength. Other intelligence work involves black women working as domestics. The story of Mary Bowser is a fascinating tale of a woman who worked with an herbal sparring in the Confederate capital. Bowser is said to have a photographic memory. She pretended to be illiterate, can't read or write, and found a place as a house servant in the Confederate White House. She was able to gain access to lists of troop movements, reports, and military strategies. She passed the information along the Union forces until she was discovered and fled Richmond near the end of the war. Finally, there was Mary Vestry, a free black woman who was working for a Confederate engineer in Norfolk, Virginia, who overheard plans for building the CSS Virginia. After obtaining a copy of the plans, she daringly crossed enemy lines to take this information to the Secretary of the Navy, which caused the Union to crank up construction of its own ironclad warship, the USS Monitor. After the war, the brave exploits of these women were just hidden and forgotten. They certainly don't need to be hidden and forgotten anymore.
And so, in a real sense, you think that you've helped to resurrect information in reference to some of the roles that these women played. And they were not just slaves, as is generally thought, but they were also active in terms of providing information to the Union forces about the movements of the Confederate troops and whatever. What do you think about the women like that today?
Well, there aren't many women like that anymore because, you know, those were some brave women to do all that because they will go behind enemy lines, risking their own lives to help African Americans. They risked their own lives to save others. They did what they needed to save the blacks, and that's just incredible because they risked their lives to do all that. They helped the Confederate White House and urban sparring at the Confederate White House, you know. They helped a lot in the Civil War.
And so, in a real sense, they sort of made people see them quite different because of their activities during the war. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And they would, and they, in a real sense, helped to bring about the end of slavery. Would you say that they played a significant role in terms of helping to end the institution of slavery?
Yes. The ending of slavery was the best day of every African American's lives. I know it was.
You think
and I know the wedding day may be their best day, but ending slavery is even better.
And so one of the great things that they helped to accomplish in a real sense was the end of slavery and the passage of the 13th Amendment, which officially ended slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave the former slaves the right for citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, the right to vote. And so you think that the activities that they became involved in helped the Union win the war, and by winning the war, helped to emancipate or to liberate some 4.5 million slaves in the South? Is that what you're saying in reference to these women?
Yes, because the more activities that they did, the more that it showed all the whites and blacks that they could be just equally good as the whites and blacks could be. The more blacks did, it showed the whites that they're not just some old black person just thrown on the the street, there are people. They ain't Negroes, they just people.
And so they played a real role in terms of helping to liberate. Now, one of the women that you mentioned earlier, and I think it's important that people your age understand her, is that was Harriet Tubman. Now, you indicated that Tubman played an important role as a spy, but she also was what was known as an abolitionist. What was that whole movement all about?
Well, you know, Harriet was a slave, and she would sing while she picked that cotton. You know, she would communicate with fellow slaves, you know. And then one day she just said, I am so sick and tired of being controlled like I am a dog. I want to be free. That's her exact words. So she got up that night. She passed on the Underground Railroad. No, this is not a railroad underground. This is a secret stash of houses where people go because of slavery. She went down there. She took her family. She said, oh, I want my family to see this magnificent sight for sore eyes. So she took her family and she took thousands of people. She saved thousands of people's lives. Thousands.
And so Harriet Tubman, not only she was a great abolitionist, you say, and then she was a great a spy for the Union forces, and she's somebody that you think the young people can relate to and be proud of.
Yes, because I really think out of every black woman, I think Harriet Tubman is the one that little kids can relate to, because they make the books about Harriet Tubman in words that little kids can relate to, such as Harriet Tubman freed slaves, you know. I think kids can really relate to Harriet Tubman because they know a lot about her. The other women, kids may not understand the words that they are put in, but in Harriet Tubman, they understand the words that she's put in.
And so do you find Harriet Tubman to be a very popular person among your group in school in the third grade?
I do find her very interesting. You know, most of the kids in my class, we all go to the history section in our library and we say, I want that book. Every time I see somebody say that, it has to be Harriet Tubman. All the kids should like Harriet Tubman because all the kids can relate to her.
Very good. And so let us get ready for this second commercial break, Alana, and then we'll come back and we'll give you an opportunity to talk some additional aspects in reference to women during the Civil War. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Alana McLaughlin, and